So I wanted to get you something special.
Thank you. I saw the thing pop up. I got scared. I'm gonna have to.
Apparently this was live, but whatever. Oh, there we are.
Yep, here I am. Just about to say we are now officially live. So, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am so excited to be here with Olivia Dade and Kimberly Lemming to celebrate the release of Zomromcom. Some of you may know me. I'm Ariana. I'm the events coordinator for Love Sweet Arrow, and I have with me Olivia Dade, author of Zomromcom, At First Bite, and a number of other titles. We also have the lovely Kimberly Lemming, author of I Got Abducted by Aliens, and now I'm trapped in a rom-com. That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human, and many, many more titles. We are so excited to have both of them here with us today. Before I pass it along to both Olivia and Kimberly, I just want to note that if you have any questions for either of the authors, you can go ahead and drop those in the YouTube chat, and both authors will answer those towards the end of the event. And if there is nothing else, I will go ahead and pass it on to Olivia and Kimberly, and you guys can go ahead and kickstart it.
Thank you so much, Ariana.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Our
So I
pleasure.
figure we could just jump right into it. Zomcom, yeah, if I can figure out how to talk. So let's just start off right with the elevator pitch. Like, what's this about? Aside from zombies and rom-coms.
That is, I mean, it is pretty much what's on the tin.
That's true. I do love that. Like right
And
on
it,
the tin. Zombies, rom-com, swords. This cover would only be made better if she was holding the burrito.
well, the special dust jacket
Hmm.
for folks who order served through the first week, there is a version of the cover by Lenny Kaufman where she is holding the burrito.
I need that
So,
version.
and I want to go ahead and apologize to everyone. I just from Amsterdam last night, so I am super jet lagged. I am thrilled to be here, and but if I'm confused and incoherent, I mean, that may just be my normal state, but I also do have a slight excuse jet lag, so please forgive me. Or I might end up saying things I shouldn't say publicly, so that's a possibility as well. But yes, Zomcom is one of my few books, actually, in the title, which is, the idea of a book called Zomromcom just amused me so greatly that even with no intention of writing it myself, I wrote it in my story ideas file in all caps. And then
Oh, I lost her. Am I lost?
No,
Is it
no,
me?
here.
Okay.
I think she's coming back on now. Yep, there we go.
I don't know if I faded out or you
There she goes
very much
again.
like a seance.
Summon Olivia.
Yeah.
Come
It's
on,
like, can
chat.
you hear us? Are you in the room with us?
Okay. So I'm sorry, most of that cut out. Did you want to just start up again?
All right, so basically, the title amused me. I had no intention of writing it, but I had years ago had just finished writing Spite, which I love, but that book was sort of ripped straight from my heart, and I just couldn't be more angst, and I wanted to do something that felt different, where the threat was coming from the outside rather than sort of dealing with quite as much internal sort of turmoil. There have to be character arcs, but that the main thing keeping them apart would be the external threat. And so just no one was clamoring for me to write as
I
um,
was. Before I even knew what this was, I was clamoring. Like the external conflict. You basically wrote my catnip. And you're like, do you want an art copy? I'm like, what a question to ask, honestly. Yes.
Well, I appreciate that. Then you were the one.
The target audience right here.
And bless my agent, when I told her I was doing it, she's like, okay. Uh, so I did, and I had a great time writing it. It was just the break my brain needed from doing sort of contemporary romances where there's a little more, um, yeah, where there's a little more angst and sort of more emotional heft, I would say, rather than sort of pedal to the metal fun all the time, although there is humor, obviously. So, yeah, it was a delight. So, it's a story of a human woman named Edie who's living sort of near in what's called the containment zone, near where zombies have been penned up for a while since their previous escape. But the government's not willing to just kill them off because they think they might still find a use for them. And land is very
Accurate.
cheap there. And for cheap housing, people will live near almost anything. So,
Too right. Too right.
especially in the DC area.
Mm-hmm.
And so she is coming home one night and sees that there is a zombie where there should not be a zombie and goes to save her dimwit neighbor, Chad, who's like a early 20 something beer bro, only to discover that he is neither in his early 20s nor dim nor a beer bro. He's a supercilious, super old, but he won't tell her how old vampire named Maxime Max. But actually, technically, his first name is Gaston because that also amused me for reasons, if you've read the book, you will know.
I
And then,
do.
oh, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
I do just want to pause real quick because you skipped over this and I can't allow that. But you had probably one of the best opening lines I've read in so long, followed by one of the best meet cutes. Because, slight spoiler, everyone, close your ears. He tears out a heart in front of her like day one. My husband, my dearest. But the first line in this book is armed with a burrito. Edie rounded her car and sprinted to intercept the zombie. I'm hooked. I'm in it. Okay, continue.
I really wanted to start in the middle of the action, uh, particularly since my contemporary romances, I do love introspection a lot. So I have a running joke that my rough drafts of my contemporary romances should be called Introspection, the novel. So I was like, no, this has to be actiony. And so I really want to force myself to begin like at a cliff. So to start there. So I'm glad it worked.
Boy, did it ever. I absolutely loved it. I think what was really nice about this book is that you really still hear your contemporary roots, and that makes for a much more fun, like interpersonal communications and just like the banter between the two. Because yes, you got all these fantastical and paranormal elements going on, but it's still like full on rom-com. Like even though heads are rolling, I could kind of see this on what's that? Not Lifetime. That's the drama one. Hallmark. That's it. Zombie Hallmark. That's where I want to see this movie.
They've got to have like zombie Hallmark after dark.
They have to. And if not, Hallmark, call us. She's right here. We need to get
If
on this.
so, I will not sign on until we get an adaptation of your books as well.
Yep. Yep. This
Actually,
is this
love
is how we take over.
if you're willing to, and I'm putting you on the spot here, could you also give the elevator pitch for your latest? It hasn't been out that long. It's amazing. And people who like my book, I think, will also love yours, possibly more, but I will try not to be jealous of that. Would you be willing to talk a little bit about tell us about your recent book too?
I suppose, twist my arm. But my most recent release is I got abducted by aliens and I'm trapped in a rom-com. And much like your book, it does what it says on a tin. A wildlife researcher is studying meerkats in the wild. She's already laughing. Then she gets attacked by a lion and then abducted by aliens. Then she comes to find out she is now the test subject in a breeding program to help save an endangered species. Unfortunately, the people who kidnapped her ran out of their budget way before they could make a suitable environment and just kind of like half-assed it and put a bunch of earth crap into AI and populated the planet. So now there's like dinosaurs and Steamboat Willie choking the life out of Frankenstein. It's a whole mess. But anyway, she and her two found new mates go on a quest to punch the director in the face.
Love the fact that you took advantage of Steamboat Willie being in the public domain
Immediately.
immediately.
No, that article came out and I literally got the link, sent it to my editor and be like, what do the lawyers say? And she's just like, just be free, Kim. Just wander off.
Which is one of the things I love about your books is that you are wildly creative while being very thoughtful about what you include sort of in your books. Like I think the fact that Steamboat Willie is in there is just a sign of that. Like you're an amazing author. It was part of the reason I begged you to be part of this is basically so I could just like ask in your presence and brilliance for an evening guys an event my
That
book.
is,
So do you like really smart, wildly creative and like fun and just amazing paranormal romance, like you have to, if you have not already, which most of you I'm sure have, but if you have not, you have to read Kimberly's books, all of them. But her latest is amazing. So, yay.
well, thank you. That's so sweet. I'm supposed to be interviewing you though.
But
Okay.
I couldn't let you get away without at least some
Ah, shucks.
discussion.
Well, I appreciate it. And don't, I absolutely felt the same way the first time my publicist is like, hey, Olivia Dade wants to chat. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Who? What? So I did fangirl quite a bit when you reached out.
Well, I mean, to be honest, like to the audience, I also consider Kim a friend. So we have worked together sometimes and have chatted. So I also like to surround myself with people that I really like. And that's also you.
I woke up at 7 a.m. just to hear her voice, and that should tell you something because I don't like mornings. But okay,
All right.
let's
Okay.
get it back
Yes.
on track because I had a very important question.
Yes, I'm
Let's
sorry.
imagine you've been caught unawares. The zombies are doing a little thriller dance towards you. What is the food that you have to use to fight them off?
Well, I would have to say, since I live in Sweden, I would have to pelt them with IKEA meatballs.
I was hoping it was IKEA meatballs. In my heart of hearts, I'm like, I know she won't say IKEA meatballs. Because what else would you do? And if they're frozen in the snow, that's a projectile. That is a good projectile.
I mean,
Wise choice.
legally, in any interview I have, since I am now a Swedish citizen as well, I have to mention IKEA at some point or ABBA, one of
It's the
those.
law.
Otherwise, I lose my citizenship.
Hmm.
I get bonus citizenship points if I mention Allen wrenches as well. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the key knowledge here.
And Swedish fish. Yes.
Ah.
Although technically, if you're in Sweden, all fish is Swedish fish.
I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, let's see. Did you have to do any kind of interesting research with this book, or are you just watching old zombie flicks? Like, yep, working, which is also work.
The big thing that I did research actually was soap making. Um,
Oh,
in part because, even though it's not like there's not like two chapters devoted to the process of making soap because that would have interfered with the action. It actually
I
does. If
would have
you
read
read
it.
the book, some of the soap making stuff, like her supplies and things, do actually come into play. Uh, but also, I tend to fall down YouTube rabbit holes. And one of those YouTube rabbit holes before I started writing the book were some of these soap making videos, particularly cold process soap making. So I actually, for someone who has never made soap, at one point had a ridiculous amount of knowledge about the cold process soap making so that I could sort of know what Edie was doing, and what that would mean for like what supplies she would have, and then that did play into the plot. So I had an excuse for the many, many hours of Brambleberry videos to watch. But they make just have you seen some of the decorative ones they made like with a feather design in there? And
Okay.
like it's beautiful.
Full disclosure, when I got to that scene, it did actually send me down a rabbit hole of soap making videos that somehow ended up with me watching this guy build a hut in the woods, like to completion. Like, I don't know what happened to me that day, but yes, I have seen a lot of soap making videos now.
Sorry, I so rarely hear the phrase to completion in a way in in a context that involves hut building rather than like massages.
I mean, in a way, it was weirdly satisfying, but we're gonna kicked off of YouTube. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry.
He
I'll reel
was
it in.
he was building a hut. Sure. So,
Oh, who let me be in charge of interviews? Where was I? Okay. Can you share any interesting or funny behind the scenes stories of the writing process?
I've mentioned this before, but one of the really the joy for me of writing this book, a lot of it had to do with this was I'm not sure if this was the first book that I mostly wrote in company with friends. Like
Hmm.
you and I have written together sometimes, but I have a friend named Kat Latham, who's also an extremely talented romance author who lives in the Netherlands. And so we're in the same time zone. And her schedule worked out so that we were actually able to work together most weekdays. And she's a dear friend and super funny. And I would read my really the jokes that I wasn't sure I could get away with to her, and she would be like, "No, you gotta leave that in."
That's the best kind of friendship.
Basically, she was an enabler, and I appreciate that very much about her. And so we just laughed and had fun. We would work for like 45-minute or hour blocks, check in, laugh a little bit, get back to work. And it was a book that I wrote where I never felt overwhelmed by the process because I was always there, you know, with friends in company, never alone with it. And so it was just really a joyful book to write. Probably the most fun I've ever had writing a book. So that and hopefully that's evident on the page.
Oh,
But
absolutely. I think so.
I really enjoyed it. And so that's sort of the writing of went really pretty quickly, which I think is also a sign that yeah, that it was a real joy.
That's always the best. Like when the book is flowing, you're having a good time. It's like, oh, why can't they all be that easy?
They never are usually.
No, no, they never are. Oh my goodness. But hey, listen, writers, did you hear that? Sometimes we do still need people. Go outside, make a friend. I know you are just cringing in your seats right now, but go outside.
I have started doing this with a number of my writer friends. And a bunch of us sort of began by saying sort of, oh, it's not something I need. But then when we started doing it, we realized sometimes if have a tendency toward navel gazing, which a lot of writers do, if writing is not flowing smoothly or going well, sitting in front of it can feel sort of like in front of a blank page can feel like this weird existential struggle where it's sort of like whether or not you get words that day is sort of the sign of whether or not you're a good person or whether you're lazy or and when you're doing this with a friend, it all just seems so much less intimidating because it's so clear that really all you're doing is sitting in front of that screen and just, excuse my language, making shit up. Like doing it the best way you can, as entertainingly as you can, with a lot of research and thought behind it. But frankly, it's not brain surgery. It is an activity that is meant to be joyful. And when you're with friends, it just takes away sort of the existential struggle aspect for me at least, and I think for some of my friends. So, um, yeah, I mean, and some people are loners and work best without anyone else, but I think a lot of us, it's not so terrible to have, even if it's silent company on a computer screen a few inches away while you're working, to have some company.
I couldn't agree more. I still say the easiest time I have with writing is when I'm sharing my chapters with a group of friends, and then each of them are egging me on as we go. Like, if you don't give me two more chapters by Tuesday, I will have a fit, an actual full body fit. Get to work. And it motivates me. And so does just like sharing space with friends and like writing together. So there really is just a lot of help to just grabbing a few buddies and just writing together.
You know, the writing process can be very isolated and isolating, and the publishing industry is famously a difficult one. I mean, most industries are, but publishing can be difficult because, in part, because your output is put out for public view and public sort of judgment. And I think it's super important to have writer friends if you can, if only so that you don't have a meltdown on social media and say things that were better said privately. Your DMs that you don't go on and be like, honey, no, don't, don't.
So many falls could have been avoided if you just sent it to the group chat. Maybe, maybe you just send it to the group chat on occasion. Get some backup feed. Oh man. So, what would you say was your like favorite scene to write with this book?
Oh goodness. I just really love the banter scenes. That's always one of my favorite scenes to write. I made myself laugh. I mean, I guess I don't know if it's good to laugh at your own jokes, but I made
I mean,
myself
I
laugh
do.
a lot. I also loved coming up with the like horrible processed food items that Edie that Edie
That was
loves to eat.
special.
Like, my favorite line is, I mean, it's such a dad joke. My favorite line in the entire book is when Edie is eating, I'm sorry if this is a small spoiler. She's eating, I can't believe it's not falafel. Right? And and he's like, does it taste like chickpeas? She's like, no. And he's like, what is it? And she's like, not falafel. I know that much. For whatever reason, that just tickles me so much every time. And actually writing the action was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, it was really, it was nice to sort of stretch that writer muscle. It's not like my contemporaries aren't like full of car chases.
They could be though.
They could
Just
be,
saying.
maybe they will be.
Maybe this has unlocked something in your like later works where like everything's cool, everything's sweet. They're saving Christmas or whatever happens in contemporaries, and then boom, car chase. I feel like might be something there. The Christmas car chase.
Right. Next thing you know, assassination car chase.
Yes, yes. Get a
You're like,
werewolf in there somewhere.
I thought this was we were reading about like an erotica reading book club, but now there's suddenly like they're speeding over a bridge in a Buick. Like, what's happening here?
It's called a plot twist, Patricia. Let's get with it. Oh goodness. Let's see. Are there any particular books, movies, or shows that influence this?
Yes. There are two books that I read probably almost a decade ago, although don't quote me. Well, I guess you can quote me on that year, but it was the first two zombie romances I read, which sort of let me know that that was even a thing that I could do, even though they're very different from what I did. I first read one of the first sort of self-published books that I read that I was like, this is amazing. I just had not read self-published books before and had not realized like what immense talent lies in indie publishing. Obviously, you know, you are another exemplar of
It
like
was
someone who
exhausting.
started out. with like extraordinary talent and then got snatched up, but um because of that talent. But I read Kylie Scott's Flesh series, which again, very different from Zomromcom. They're erotic romance, threesomes, like, I mean, they're awesome. They have a much more sort of gritty tone, I would say. I mean, they're not rom-coms, but I love them. And I was not really a zombie person, and I still love them. And also, Charlotte Stein had a book called still has a book called Reawakening. Again, a erotic romance threesome. You may notice like a pattern here. Um,
I mean, I wasn't gonna say it, but
That's all right. We were all thinking it. There's a reason that in my Harlots Bay series, they have an erotica reading book club, erotic romance reading book club. I read the gamut. So from kisses only to
as you
erotic,
should, as you should.
as I and she again wrote it's set in a zombie outbreak, and it's an excellent romance, and I really enjoyed it. I have both of those on my bookshelves in my house back in Sweden. And I think for a decade, maybe it was percolating somewhere in the back of my mind. Well, if I were to write something that involves zombies, like what would that even look like? Because it wouldn't look like what they did. And I love what they did, but it wouldn't look like that because every author has sort of their own, their authorial voice and sort of the themes and the sort of stories they like to tell. But how would that even work if you were to take sort of my authorial voice and write a zombie romance? And apparently it looks a lot like Zomromcom.
And listen, you
So,
need to add it in a Gaston. That's what we needed in the world.
that was happy accident. I was looking for I was looking for what could be his legitimate like non-Chad first name. So I was looking up medieval French names that I would want for a male main character in a book. And I eventually settled on Matt. But while I was looking, I saw Gaston. And I was like,
You
oh.
have to. You have to.
I was like, this is like Chekhov's name. Like if you use Gaston, you gotta use Gaston in the book. So that was just pure like me looking up medieval French names and like finding that I was like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do with this. And I also was worried about the legality, but like it was fine.
I mean, what are they gonna do? They don't own the name.
Yeah.
Just
I
like they
mean,
don't
it was
own
more
Steamboat Willie.
well, it was more that I was, parodying the song. And I was a little
Mm.
concerned, but no one raised any fuss. And so far, I haven't been dragged off to Disney jail. So we're good.
Good. Love to see it. I mean, it completely worked with the story. I'm like, oh my God, his name is Gaston. I'd love it. Where's this going? So, what is next for you after Zomromcom? Are we getting a second book? Are we moving back to contemporary? Are we throwing everything to the wind and doing the card chase?
I have it was a 3-book contract with Berkeley. So
Ooh.
Zomromcom is the first book. I have written the second book. I sort of If you get to the end of Zomromcom, the final scene is in a different point of view from the rest of the book. It is Gwen, an oracle, whom you will meet earlier in the book. She is an oracle, but an oracle who can only predict piddling shit. So, I have written that book. I'm probably getting edits on it soon. I just saw a sketch of the cover today, actually, and it is called World's Okayest Oracle Reluctantly Seeks Demon. So,
What a
uh,
name.
well, I was not afraid of long names in part because of you. So I was like, let's
Yes.
do it. I did
It's
some
spreading.
rom-com, like one word. We did that. I was like, we're going the other direction on this. But it's Woo for short. World's Okayest Oracle is what I call it Woo. Um,
Perfect.
so so Gwen's story is next, and I'm really happy with how that book came out. I hope my editors feel the same. Every time I turn in a book, I was like, maybe this will be the book that when I get it back from my editors, they're like, if you changed a word, Olivia, this book would only be worse. Like, let's let's not even send this to copy editing. Let's send this directly to the proofreaders. There is nothing that can be done here. It is perfection. That has not happened to me yet, but maybe this time.
I believe in my heart that it will be so.
Mm.
And if not, there will be a reckoning.
You know, I think I told you my original draft of that book, World's Okayest Oracle, Reluctantly Sees Semen, 1,000 words.
I'm sorry, you cut out. Well, how many?
141,000 words.
Oh my goodness. Give it
I
to
cut
us.
I cut it down to 108. And it is a better book for it,
Okay.
but um actually it was I did that on my own, that those cuts. And it was really funny because I do tend to overwrite a little bit unless I watch myself. So like in the middle of dialogue, it would be something like he would say something. He sighed and ran a hand through his hair. And I'm like, you get one reaction. You can either sigh, you can run a hand through your hair, but you cannot do both. You have to decide. So one reaction per customer. Reaction.
It's
So I
like,
was,
God, you're speaking of my future, but go on.
you have a long draft?
Little excessive with the reactions. I gotta cut that out. But you know what? We move on.
We only get one. We only get one reaction per customer. But no, I'm really happy with how that came out. So that will be, and I already know who's going to be at the end of that book is a scene from the point of view of the next character who's going to have a story. And you've already met one of in Zomromcom, you already met one of the characters who will be one of the main couple in
I
that
can't wait.
book. So yeah, I'm super excited. I had a lot of fun writing both the next book, but also the scene to introduce the third book. So that's happening. I do intend to keep writing contemporaries, but I want to finish out this series probably before I do any more contemporaries, just because it turns out I don't multitask well.
Fair enough.
So, so I think that probably I'll write the final book in the supernatural entanglement series before I go back to write another contemporary.
Love it. Love this for me. I need more zombies. So we kind of flew through all the questions I had. I should have made more food related questions for you. But why don't we open it up to the chat and see if we have any questions in there?
We can do that. I would also like to ask you, sort
Okay.
of like when you were writing the book that just came out, what went into sort of your world building? Because I mean, you have a lot of stuff happening there, and it's all, as I said, just wildly creative. Like, can you tell me a little bit about some aspect, not the whole thing, but some aspect of sort of your process and how you brainstorm some of the sort of creative touches because they're amazing.
Sure. And 1 second, because my other light went out and I'm tired of being in the sea of darkness. Okay. I was trying to be see, it's just so bright, but the other light, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna leave it alone. I was fiddling with it for like 10 minutes beforehand. It's whatever. Where were we? Aliens. So contain myself. This book sort of started as a uh, middle finger, I should say, to Twitter and TradPub, which is probably isn't the best thing to say, knowing our publisher is probably watching this. But hey, love you, Berkeley. This wasn't about you. But basically, way back when I came up with the idea, I was getting some flack online for like, she uses yeet in a title. That's crazy. And I'm like, I can be worse. I think I should be worse. And at the time, another publisher wanted to get a book from me, but I didn't really like the deal. So I'm like, oh, I'll just make something ridiculous so they say no. And so I thought to myself, how do I make something so ridiculous the publisher would have to say no? What are they not publishing? Aliens, overly ridiculous, poly couples, and what have you. So this opened up my world building to be as fun as world building could possibly be. Because I was thinking to myself, because for some reason at the time I was watching Meerkat Manor, and I'm like, what if the lady behind the camera got caught up and she became the meerkat in an alien experiment that, of course, has something to do with breeding because it's alien romance. That's just a given. So then I thought to myself, what if she herself got picked up by a bunch of interns who didn't know what they were doing and were tasked to like create a replica of Earth so like she and the Senkato could live comfortably together, but they ran out of budget and didn't have like a lot of time. And then just did like an AI scan of a bunch of museums because they have like the highest concentration of Earth DNA. And I'm like, perfect, let's go. How would they mess this world up is the question, because again, they've only got 3 days of research. And in order to get a good idea of what they could actually see, I flew out to Philly and went to each of the museums I mentioned in the book and got to see what dinosaurs were there, what kind of environments they were in, and how they interacted. And so then I thought, let's put that in a swirling pot of nonsense and just see where we can go. It
Mhm.
was so much fun crafting a world where like if these animals existed, how would they interact with this biome? How, would they even be able to survive without these other conditions here? And I also thought about like how would aliens see our world from the surface level? Like in one of the chapters, Dory finds a car in the middle of the jungle, but when she opens up the door, there's nothing in it. There's no steering wheel, there's no pedals, there's no nothing, and she's pissed. And she goes into one of the houses and finds that every last house only has one bed because they found like a how to write romance novel. That's just how you get humans to mate. So it was like all kinds of funny little mishaps that I could think of that just made the world so much more fun. And I got to like build it as I went and would add things in just like, oh yeah, that probably wouldn't make sense to aliens when we think about it. So they probably would think billboards are just like, I don't know, fancy enrichment items. But of course, they're not going to know what they're actually for, where to place them, things of that nature. So you get just like whole bushels of just billboards in random places. And it was a ton of fun.
Did you have any ideas that you did say, no, this is too much even for this story?
No, I put everything in there.
Good.
Was like, I was
Good.
like, you know what? They'll tell me no. And for some strange reason, no one told me no at any point in this process. So I was just like, all right, book two will be worse.
I will say in Zomromcom there was one joke where I was like, I was certain they were going to make me take it out, and they did not.
Oh, yeah?
And and so we'll see if any of the people listening, if you once you read the book, if you have a guess as far as which joke that I thought I was sure they were going to make me take it out, then let me know if you guess which one it is because I was like this is pretty filthy.
But why would they ever take that out? It's a rom-com. It can be a little filthy, a little spicy.
I was like this is pushing things. We'll see what they say. Nothing. I also thought I was
Crickets.
like, are they gonna make me take out one of the Gaston songs? Like I was ready to, but no, they did not.
Listen, they
So
saw the vision. Man, I'm so excited for this book to be out in the world. It was so fun and sexy and new. Like, I've loved a lot of your other books, but this one might just be my favorite.
well, I appreciate it. And certainly you were out there breaking ground for like books that are, and I mean this, and I'm describing my own book here too, right? That are a little unabashedly like weird in some way. If that, I mean, and that's, I hope you're not offended by that, but that is
No, I'm a
like,
weirdo. It's fine.
yeah, as am I. I mean, where you just sort of are like, sort of come up with something and say, let's go with it. And
Let's
like,
go.
I mean, I think that you are sort of the queen of sort of that sort of creativity. And thank you for sort of paving a path that I could write stupid jokes about falafel, not falafel in your wake. I appreciate it.
Man, that makes me so happy. Thank you. That's so sweet.
I I I was hopeful that my contemporary readers would follow me to this while knowing that like tonally it is a little different because uh I really like turned my natural humor to 11.
And it worked.
So, for some people it may not, but hopefully if you like my sense of humor, you will like a lot more of my sense of humor in this book. Can you tell me sort of what you're, if you can tell me, like what are you working on now? Like what's coming up next for you?
Well, I had just finished the second book for Aliens last month, and I promised that I wouldn't work on either Aliens 3 or The Next Made Mishaps for this month because I'm supposed to be taking a break. So naturally, I've thought of a new idea that I'm trying really, really, really hard not to write the first chapter of. We'll see how long that lasts. One of these days I'll learn to sleep. I will. Not today, but someday.
Whatever idea is the idea that you're not under contract for, that is always the
Oh,
most
it's
enticing idea.
it's the juiciest fruit. It's just sitting right there with no obligations.
Exactly. Does does anyone have questions for us? We're happy. I mean, we're
Yes.
happy to like I love Kim, so we're happy I'm happy to ramble and like tell her how awesome she is and chat, but we're both also happy to answer questions. Her, I'm just going to volunteer her for this. She did not know, but you could also ask her questions.
Oh God.
Have any
I have been tricked, bamboozled.
been betrayed?
Let's see. What's been bringing you joy lately?
I decided this past year, if you've read my newsletter, you already know where this is going, that I needed to have a hobby that was not in front of the computer.
Yes.
And, growing up, I had a ton of hobbies. I was on a swim team. I played the organ. I drew, like, just had like a ton of things I like to do. And somehow over the years, that really narrowed to things in front of the computer. And I was like, I don't think this is great for me, especially after sort of the events of the last election. I was like, it's probably better for me to be offline for at least some time every day. And so I started searching for hobbies that would use my hands as well as my brain and would not use the computer. So I briefly became and would still be Lego trash, except it's super expensive and I ran out of room. We live in an apartment in Sweden and there's only so many places for it. And then I discovered diamond painting, which has been
Ooh.
a real source of joy because the sort of art that I really like doing diamond painting is when it's sort of like a combo of a mosaic and paint by numbers. And the art that I've been doing is sort of older art, sort of public domain art. Like I did a close up of Botticelli's Birth of Venus, and I just did Franz Marc's like a cubist one called The Foxes, which is one of my I've just discovered a lot of art.
Oh,
And
that's so cool.
part of the joy that it's all stuff that I've always loved art, but I think that I sort of stagnated in it. Like in my 20s, my idea of like the art I liked was stuff I would want to put up on my bedroom wall.
Hmm.
And now I think I have a greater appreciation and love for art that maybe I wouldn't put up in my house, but I can sort of see like this is brilliant and it's amazing. And it is sort of opened a lot of sort of the world up to me again in a way that is really just sincerely really joyful.
That
So
is so cool. I know exactly what you mean though. Like you get stuck in something for so long and it's like I have not seen anything else. But that's yeah, I need to do that. We need to get more art in our everyday life.
yeah. And I do think we have questions now. Ariana, do you want to sort of choose one or do you want us to choose one?
Up to you. If you want me to read them off to you both, I can.
Sure.
Okay, first one we have is going to be for both of you, and it's who's your favorite romantic couple or throuple of the ones you've written?
Hmm.
Oh,
Do you want to go first?
sure. I think as much as I think Zomromcom is the most fun I ever had just writing a book, the experience of writing it. Probably my favorite character ever to write is Alex from All the Feels. I thought that he was absolutely hilarious, and I just really loved writing his Lauren's story. It's either that or At First Spite, Matthew and Athena. Like those two couples sort of stick out to me as being ones that I love all of them, but they're sort of, maybe deepest in my heart. What about you, Kimberly?
See, I'm not sure. It might be Dante and Sherry, or it might be my latest couple, Blair and Osid from Aliens 2. And I kind of love those two because Blair is actually insane. And it was really fun pairing her with like this alien king who's kind of like a Regency style duke mixed with just like a crazy alien war general. And the way those two fight was so much fun for me. Like the fact that I got to write an acid point or an acid trip is like a pivotal plot point. So much fun. It's I don't know how much they're gonna let me get away with in this book, but it might be the funnest book I've ever had or I've ever written.
Love both of those answers. I'm sorry. Yeah, the acid trip really got me.
Yes.
It's like, what would you do if it's like a touch her and die situation, but also she might just shoot him. He keeps pissing her off. Like,
Love that. Okay, next question we have is also for both of you, and it's would love to know if there's any supernatural creatures either of you haven't touched yet that you want to still write.
You want to go first or you want me to?
um, technically I have not written about the Lamia yet, but Ambrose is on the way, so soon.
I I in Zomromcom, I very deliberately created an expansive world. So with a lot of room to play, because there's the enhanced humans, so like including, telepaths or, lots of other abilities, like the Oracle, Gwen, but also other types of supernaturals. And I made sure I put in a little comment about how not all of them have come forward publicly to give myself even more leeway for sort of the future. Um, I I told myself I wouldn't share this because I hope no one else writes this before me. I have an idea for a title for a werewolf book. I really want to call it For Elise.
Nobody steal that. We're watching. We're watching all of you.
Please, please don't steal it. It makes me so happy to think of writing a female werewolf whose name is Elise and calling it For Elise. I really, really want to do that. So, anyway, so yes, that somewhere in my, it's not going to be in the first three books set in this world, but somewhere that title will happen. So, this is how Zomromcom occurred. I was just like, I really just want to be the one who uses that title. So
I know
that's
exactly what you mean.
I have to say, I love that title. I actually have a little music box sitting on my nightstand right now that plays for Elise on it.
uh-huh. It's built-in advertising for my book. All right.
Yeah,
There you go.
I'm gonna go around playing my little music box as advertisement for your upcoming book. Okay, we have a question for Olivia. This
Mhm.
person asks, you said you're going to finish the trio and then go back to some contemporary romance. Do you think you'll delve into more supernatural and paranormal again later on?
Yes. I mean, obviously you just heard that I do have. I don't know when I will write for release, but it will happen at some point. Yes, in fact, I have actually written a couple of like full-on completed manuscripts, futuristic romances, like in the mid 2010s. They're never gonna see the light of day, but I've always written other subgenres as well as contemporary. Number one, they need to be better, and number two, My first agent I had when I first signed with her, I was like, I would really love to be the Swiss. I was so young. I would like to be the Swiss Army knife of romance authors. I'd like to do like, paranormal, and I'd love to do contemporary, and I'd love to do maybe mysteries and, maybe futuristic. And she was just like, no. She said, you really need to build your reputation, a readership in one area before uh, you can debate whether that was the right tactic, but that was the tactic that I went with at the time. But now I've done that, and I've, I'm free to do. And I have a lot of ideas. I really actually want to write a romantic mystery.
Ooh.
So that's somewhere I've got an idea for that too. It's a little weird, but apparently that's okay. So we're good.
Who's gonna stop you? It's always what I
No one
say.
is going to stop me.
And last question we have in the chat is a question that says, will you write an art focused book, like a curator lead?
Whatever I'm obsessed with usually shows up in my books one way or the other. So like this obsession is not fully waned for me, but I did go through a several month period where I was like super into, like I'm always into cheese, but like into different cheeses and like making, like exploring different, like yeah, exploring like different cheeses and accompaniments and learning about them. And so Gwen in World's Okayest Oracle reluctantly seeks demon cheese because I was like, look, I did the research already. We might as well use it. So I don't know. I don't, it would take a because my appreciation for art is very much an ignorant appreciation. I mean, it is more, I look at it and I'm like, that's really cool, or that's really beautiful, and it makes me feel something. But it's not like super informed in a way that I would need to be to write a character because it is important to me that that professions not be wallpaper in books. And I read plenty of books where it is, and I really enjoy those books. But for me, it's important to me because I think work is maybe so important to me and always has been, even before I was a writer, that whatever profession I say a character is, it has to make sense for who they are. And there has to be an inflection in how they see the world and how they process the world. And it has to have meaning apart from just saying like this person does this job. And so if I'm going to include the art world, I would just have to do a lot of research. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I might, but it's not something I have immediate plans for because it would be a lot of work because I just don't have at this point the background I would need.
I will continue to say that writing smart characters is the bane of my existence and my greatest joy. It's so hard. There's so much research to be done.
Hmm.
Do you both enjoy the research process, or is it more daunting than enjoyable?
I love it, but I will lose myself in it, and then I'll just be researching, I don't know, snails for a week. I don't even know how I got that, what job that's for, but that's just what happens. And then I gotta work in snails somehow because I can't have just wasted all that time.
If I've chosen the right things to write about, then the research is a joy. Like, I really enjoy learning about soap making. I mean, 98% of it is not anywhere on the page in a detectable way. Like the saponification process, like I'm not getting into that on the page. And but no, that is if you write the book that like you actually want to write, not the book you think you should write, then the research is tends to be more of a joy. So,
Yes, that exactly.
yes.
Okay, it looks like we have our last question in the chat, which is for both of you. And it says, do you outline your books ahead of time, however detailed that may look, or do you write and let the story take shape as it goes?
I think we're different on this, if I'm not mistaken. You go ahead. Maybe you go first.
Sure. So I will somewhat make an outline, ignore it completely, go back to it when I get lost, follow it for a little bit, ignore it again, then kind of cross-reference where I wanted to go and finish the book.
I have found, or I found early in my career that if I did not outline, that my books were lacking what is traditionally known as a plot, which is often something that publishers look for. Um, and readers, I think, generally prefer some sort of plot. So I found I actually did need to sort of think through things ahead of time. Also, I find it less intimidating to write if I sort of know where I'm going. So, I mean, I allow myself room for surprises to pop up during the writing. Like, I did not originally go in to write the Gaston songs. Like, that popped up. It was a delightful thing that popped up while I was writing. But I do have outlines to sort of tell me, I thought through the characters. Like, I'm not someone who fills out personality. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't fill out like personality forms. But I've thought through, like, well, what is their childhood like? Like, what's their work like? What's their personality like? What's their character arc going to be? And then what are the major events that need to happen in the book? Um, for the book to have the right tension, for there to be interesting set pieces in the book and interesting scenes in the book and what will move the book forward. And if I don't plan that out, my first book I ever wrote, which will again never see the light of day, I reached like 80% of the way into the book and realized like nothing has really happened other than banter and sex. Like in 80%, like it's been 70,000 words and nothing has happened. So I was like, something should happen. Something should really happen. So I went back to the first scene in the book, and it was set in Colonial Williamsburg because I worked at Colonial Williamsburg in costume for a lot of years. And there had been an obnoxious tourist in the first scene, like a really kind of malevolently obnoxious tourist. And it was exactly something that had happened to me because, again, your first book, often that's what you do. And I had him return to the book 80% of the way through the book and push her down a set of stairs. And I was like, plot accomplished.
Incredible.
I was like, problem solved. Look at this plot. So much plot. And that is why I outline now.
See, I feel like I have to add the opposite of that because when I pitched my Alien series, I gave them the synopsis for books one and two. And
Mhm.
after I turned in book one, I got so wildly off track, I completely forgot what I sent them. And so I wrote book two, and when my editor checked in, like, okay, so how's Misty's story? And I'm like, who the fuck is Misty? So it's Blair's book now.
I kind of did that for my second book in the Spoiler Alert series. The third book, Peter Maria's story, was supposed to be the second book, but like Alex just sort of leaped off the page so much that I was like, maybe if I just sneakily write his book next instead. And
Just sneak
actually,
it
my
in.
editor had forgotten it was supposed to be someone else. Like, I was like, score!
Oh, that's the best.
You both are hilarious. I, as a reader, and I'm sure everyone watching this would agree, like, I would read plotless books from both of you. Like,
It's endless. There's so many.
Oh, but there was plot, Ariana. She got pushed downstairs.
I added a character named Misty back in. I don't
so
know what she was doing before.
it all came full circle.
There you go.
Well, we are, unfortunately, we're out of time. I do just want to say that there's a ton of love in the chat, and everyone is just enjoying this conversation so much. And I'm so sad to have to end it here, but we are out of time, unfortunately. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. And thank you so much, Olivia and Kimberly, for letting us listen in on this wonderful conversation. We would love to have you back another time for a repeat of this.
Well, I'm honored that you let me ramble, and Kimberly is so generous with her time. And I'm just so glad we were able to chat about her books as well as mine because she deserves all the attention and praise in the world. So thank you, Kim, and thank you, Ariana.
Thank you both for having me. This was so much fun. And everyone, go check out Olivia's book. What are you still doing here? It's amazing.
And see if you can figure out the joke that I was sure they were going to cut.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you